Hello, and welcome to another vlog. How are you guys? I've actually been away for 3 weeks, but hopefully you didn't notice that too much because I actually was posting videos for those 3 weeks, which I'm very proud of myself for because I don't typically do that when I'm away. I usually don't have enough energy and time to crunch and get videos prepped, but I did this time and I'm very happy with that. But yeah, I am back. I was away for 3 weeks. I spent 2 weeks in the Czech Republic with my sister. That is where we spent Christmas and New Year's as well. We spent it all together with her family, so her husband and her daughter, my niece. Had an amazing time. I'll post some pictures here because I also did some sort of sightseeing around Prague. I've been sort of trying to collect cool reading spots, and whenever I travel or go anywhere new, I always take my books with me, and now I have an ebook which I'll also be showing you in a little bit, and I am now trying to like take pictures of cool spots that I read in. So I sat in front of the river and like overlooking the town, and it was really nice to do that in Prague. And then after that, on January 5th, I flew over to Milan where I met my dad. And then for a week after, we were just like road tripping. We spent some time in Italy going around like little villages and also Milan. It was fantastic. I also have some pictures that I might show. And then we took a train from Milan to Lyon, which is in France. We spent some time there, and then we rented a car and went from Lyon up to Paris, but then not in a straight line, sort of in a curved line. And we hit a bunch of cute villages and little cities around there as well. And then we made our way to Paris, and I had an absolutely fantastic time. We spent every single night in a different place, which was honestly exhausting because we also walked for like 30,000 steps a day-ish. It was a lot, but it was also fantastic. I had an amazing time. So that was a great way to start the year. I got this cute little ceramic house in one of these cities, and this little guy is going to be decoration on my bookshelf for now. I need to find like a specific place for it because my bookshelf is a little bit disorganized at the moment, but I will eventually. I'm just kind of collecting pieces that I want to display on there. And then once we got to Paris, we took the train, the Eurostar, back up to London, which was an experience. I loved not flying. I really loved not flying. It was great. One of my goals for 2023 is to travel more in general and specifically do like sort of weekend trips and short trips so I can see more places, but then spend less holiday time from work to do that. So I want to take like a Friday and then a Monday off to then go somewhere for a quick weekend trip. And I want to make use of the trains that we have going out from London, which the Eurostar goes to 3 destinations, one of them being Paris. The other one is Amsterdam and Brussels, I think. And so I'm hopefully going on a trip to Amsterdam at some point within the next couple of months, and maybe at some point throughout the year I'll go to Brussels as well. So I really want to make use of the trains because I don't love flying, and we have these trains. They're available and they're not too expensive depending on how far out you book them, so it could be a quick sort of cheap-ish way to do a little weekend trip, so that's good. But anyway, that's just like a quick catch up of where I've been and what I've been doing. In that time, I have read several books, and I also got a really cool delivery that I want to talk to you about. So we're going to start off with books, and we're going to end on friendship bracelets because, as well as I mentioned in a couple of previous videos, which you might have seen, my new goal for 2023 is to make more friendship bracelets, just in general, and to do more regular updates with like wrap-ups. My goal is to make at least one wrap-up per quarter, so like per 3 months of the year. And to do that, I'm starting to track my friendship bracelets in the same way that I track my reading, which I read a lot. I track my reading in a bunch of different ways by having a Google Sheet as well. One of the things with that, I actually set up the Google Sheet, I believe, in a previous vlog, the one before this one, to track my friendship bracelets. I decided to add a couple of things to it. I want to also track when I cut the strings for a bracelet, because oftentimes I cut the strings for a bracelet and then have it ready to start making it, and then I don't actually start making it until like potentially weeks after. So I want to have the date of when I actually started cutting the strings, and then the date for when I actually start the bracelet be different, because otherwise it's going to seem that I make my bracelets for a super long time when in reality I just cut the strings earlier. So I'm going to do that because I do cut my strings in bulk a lot of the time, which I'm hoping to do today. Might not be in this vlog, but might be. We'll see. Anyway, let's talk about books first. So I'm going to start with a cool delivery that I got, which is this. If you know what this is, I'm happy that some people who know what this is are watching, so thanks for being here. But if you don't know what this is a massive fan fiction based on the Harry Potter universe that someone wrote. I read this 2-ish years ago, I think. It's free to read online. I'll leave the link in the description. So this is the name of it. This is the author, so you can also Google it if the link doesn't work for some reason if you want to read it. Major trigger warnings for this one. Definitely read those because this one very, very dark. It's basically an alternate reality universe where Voldemort wins and Harry and a bunch of people from the Order die in like really brutal ways, and then we follow Hermione, who is trapped in a very, very unfortunate situation. But yeah, this thing is really dark. Major trigger warnings for a bunch of stuff, so do read those if you are planning on reading it. But this was phenomenal. I read this, as I said, about 2 years ago, and ever since then I've been trying to get my hands on physical copy of it. It's really difficult to do because there's like specific regulations and rules because you're not really technically allowed to do it. But if you do it yourself, it's fine. But also if you find someone and then they don't profit off of making it, so it's essentially they do it as a hobby, you pay for materials and shipping and that's it, you don't pay them to do it, then it's fine. So that's what I did. I found someone on Instagram who kind of just does this as a hobby, and then I paid them for shipping and materials, and now I have it and I'm so happy. This is huge. This thing is huge. The text is tiny, and it's broken up into 3 parts. I don't actually know how many pages there are, but I think it's close to 1,000 pages. It's heavy, and it's also illustrated. I love that it's illustrated, and it's illustrated throughout. There's a separate person who did the illustrations who's a fan of this fic. And tiny spoiler, if you're planning on reading this fic, I guess, because I'm going to show you an illustration, so maybe skip like 10 seconds. I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3 seconds to do that, yeah? So this is what the illustrations look like in the book itself. I'm in love with it. It's so cool. I'm actually thinking of like rereading this entire massive thing. This is the second biggest fanfiction I think I've read. The biggest fanfiction I've ever read was All the Young Dudes, which follows the generation before Harry, so his parents and their friend group, all throughout their years in Hogwarts, and then the war, and then their deaths, which hopefully isn't a spoiler because that's established in like book 1 of Harry Potter. Anyway, that was the longest fic I've ever read. That one was massive. So this arrived. I'm super excited about it. I need to find a place for it on my bookshelf. And I've actually been thinking about bookbinding as a hobby. I've seen TikToks of people doing it. I've seen YouTube videos of people doing it. It seems like a really fun sort of crafty thing as well. It seems like something that's like right up my alley because it's like a mixture of crafty stuff and books, which I love both. And I'm like strongly considering actually trying this out as a hobby. The only like 2 things that are stopping me is, 1, you need a lot of materials for it. You need a lot of stuff to start it. So it's like kind of, you know, an expensive investment to even start doing it. But so that's number 1. And number 2 is I don't know even if I do make that investment, I get all the stuff that I need for it. I have no idea where to put it. I don't know where I'm gonna put, you know, the thing that like presses the pages together, or where I'm gonna put all the glue and all of the, I just don't have that much storage space. I don't know where to put it. And also, what if I don't enjoy it? You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna invest all that stuff, then find storage space for it, and then I'm not gonna enjoy it. I probably will though. There's several other fics and other stuff that I think I want to bind and maybe even hand bind myself at some point. So maybe that is something that I will get into at some point. Anyway, moving on. I read all of these books since we last talked. Let's talk about them. Finally continued reading The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This is book 2 in that series. It's very short. I read it in a day. I enjoyed this one a lot. This one is such a classic. So this is sci-fi if you don't know. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is kind of a nonsensical, humoristic sci-fi. It's absolutely ridiculous. Stuff happens that is completely out of pocket and you don't expect, and then you watch these characters just like either accept it as normal or react in even weirder ways. It's just punchline after punchline. It's funny and ridiculous, and I'm definitely going to be continuing on with this series. As I said, I read this in a day, so yeah. Also, by the way, if I didn't mention, I ended up reading 61 books in 2022, which I have no idea how I managed to do. I feel like that was crazy of me because I originally set my goal to 30, and then I read 24 books the year before that, which I already thought was a lot. So I set my goal to 30, a little bit more, and then I ended up reading 61. I don't know how that happened. I think I read something like 12 books in December. Again, don't know how that happened, but I just did. So yeah, that happened. Then I read a non-fiction. I read a non-fiction book. Can you believe that? That doesn't happen, but I did. I read a non-fiction book. This is a book that my boss actually at work gave to a bunch of us. He really likes it. He was talking about it a lot. It's called The Culture Code. It's The Secrets of Highly Successful Groups. It's basically about how to organize an environment where people work together well. And I guess that's why he wanted us to read it, because he wants us to work together well. So I did read it. I liked it quite a bit. It's interesting as well because I don't read nonfiction, so this was just an experience in general. So I liked it enough that I'm considering reading more nonfiction. So if you know any cool titles, I might do that. I actually found one on like neurodivergency and being neurodivergent, which I am. I have ADHD if you didn't know, and I'm considering reading that because that one I saw on TikTok as well and people really like that. So maybe that could be one that I sort of try to spread my nonfiction branches out. Anyway, read a couple of rom-coms as well. We've got Bad Girl Reputation by Elle Kennedy, which is the sequel / companion to, had to look on my bookshelf because I forgot what it was, Good Girl Complex, which I read last year. This one just came out as well and I read it. It's a standalone rom-com adult. Don't read it if you're a kid, but it's also a companion to that one because it's like in the same universe with similar characters, just like a different couple. This one is a second chance romance. It was a couple that had previously sort of dated on and off and then broke up, and it's like there's a lot of tension and drama, very dramatic. But I enjoyed this one. This was fun. Also read that in a day, I think, because I was sick when I was in the Czech Republic for a while there. I was sick, which was really annoying, but I read a lot of books because of that in December. Then I read Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, which is the sequel / companion again to Lila Green Doesn't Care, both of which are sapphic romances, which I'm trying to read more of because if you didn't know, I am bisexual, so I'm trying to read more sapphic romances because for some reason I've just been reading straight romances for a while. I liked it. It was fun. I liked it enough. Like, it wasn't fantastic, but I liked it enough. It was enjoyable. I read this in like a day and a half as well, which was really quick. Also adult though, so don't read if you are a kid. This one is kind of rivals scenario, like they start off as rivals, like work rivals, and then eventually become a couple. Anyway, just a little bit of context there. And then finally, I read For the Wolf by Hannah Witten, which has been on my shelf, my to-read shelf, probably 2 years, which is actually not that much, but it's enough that I was even wondering if I'm ever gonna read it because I kept picking up other books instead of this one. I couldn't remember, like I only buy books if someone recommended it to me, but I couldn't even remember who recommended it to me or why I wanted to read it in the first place. So I kept like not wanting to read it, but I read it. And this one was weird. Kind of a little Red Riding Hood retelling a little bit. It's got Red, the main character, and the wolf, who is the big bad, I guess. So it's a kingdom in which the second daughter born to the royal family gets sacrificed to the wolf who lives in the forest. And it's like a magical forest. And so because of that, obviously, you know, royal families don't want to have 2 kids, but she is a twin. So she is the second daughter and she was then sacrificed for the wolf, which is why this is called For the Wolf. And it is sort of a fairy tale, fantasy, dark. This borders young adult and adult. The second book, which I also kind of read, I'm gonna get into that, became more adult than this one was. So I think this is suitable for young adults, but the second one I don't think is, which was surprising because I really thought it was young adult. Not the point. Maybe, you know, check trigger warnings if you want to read this one. So yeah, this is dark fairy tale vibes. I actually really like this one. It was fun. It was weird, but it was fun. It was slow, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I started reading the second one. I got halfway through it and I had to DNF it. I don't know what it is. I gave this one 5 stars. Like, I enjoyed it. Probably should bump it down to 4 to be honest, but I enjoyed it. It was fun. I couldn't read the second one. I don't know what it was about it. And one of my New Year's resolutions as well is to DNF, as in did not finish. Sorry if I didn't clarify that earlier. I want to DNF more books in this year because I've read multiple books last year. Throne of Glass series, looking at you. I should have DNF'd that a book too. But I read the entire thing. I read a lot of books last year that I should have DNF'd that I realized that I didn't really like quite early on, but then I powered through it and I still finished, which is stupid. I shouldn't be doing that. Like, my time is precious. I really shouldn't be doing that. I was reading the second book on e-reader and it tells you like how much time you've spent reading it, and I was 50% in and I had spent 6 hours on it, and I just kept thinking, I've put in 6 hours into it, might as well finish it because I've already put in this much time, like a lot of time into it. But then I was like, okay, but if I finish it now and I don't actually finish it, I'm gonna save myself 6 hours of reading a book that I don't like. So yeah, it's a duology. There's only 2 books, so I guess I'm never gonna find out what this series ends up as, but I'm okay with that because I really enjoyed this one. Did not like the second one. Couldn't finish it. So yeah, those are all the books that I read since we last talked. I'm currently listening to Game of Thrones. I am reading We Hunt the Flame, which is also another book that was on my TBR for a while and I hadn't read. So I'm reading that now. I'm about 100 pages in. I have mixed feelings about it because I'm 100 pages in and it's going so slowly. The main plot hasn't even started yet. We're still pre-adventure. It's like a whole adventure book. An adventure happens and we still haven't gotten to the adventure after 120 pages. Mixed feelings. I'm enjoying it though, so I am going to see it through to some point, unless I decide to DNF it halfway through. But anyway, let me show you my ebook. This vlog is probably just going to be one big chunk. I usually have several days where I film, but I feel like this one's just going to be today. I have an e-reader now, which I'm so happy about because I wanted one for ages, but I couldn't settle on which one I wanted. I really didn't want the Kindle. I really didn't want the Kindle because it limits you in a lot of ways. It uses its own format. I wanted one specifically with buttons because I like pressing buttons, but I didn't want the Kindle Oasis, which is the only one that has buttons to my knowledge, because that one also has like a weird port. This one uses USB-C, which is what I wanted. The Kindle Oasis uses something else, like a micro mini USB, I think. And I also just don't want Amazon products. I don't like Amazon. I don't buy books from Amazon. I don't want to have a Kindle from Amazon. I don't like Amazon. So I specifically wanted an e-reader that wasn't that. So I got a Kobo, which I found out about super late. I didn't know this existed, and then I found a very random TikTok of someone talking about it, and I got it. I also have a pop socket at the back. You can use it without, like it's fine to hold without. I just find that the pop socket is convenient, and it's got Batman on it because it's my husband's old pop socket that I found somewhere, so I'm just using his old pop socket. I love it. It's great. So I've got the cover of the book that I'm currently reading. I'm 27% in, but then obviously you've got a power button on the back, and then it opens and you read. And it has all the features, you know, you can increase the brightness, decrease the brightness. It's got temperature control, so you can sort of make it more or less blue, or I guess more or less red. It does everything an e-reader does, and buy books on here and stuff as well. I'm incredibly happy that I have this thing. For the 3 weeks that I spent outside of London, I pretty much exclusively read on this thing and also listened to audiobooks. I did have a few physical books with me, but mostly I read on that thing. It's also great for fan fiction because you can import EPUBs into it, which you can't do on a Kindle unless you convert it to their weird format first. Anyway, beyond that, I got this thing, which let me show you. So this is now the absolute coolest thing that I own. It's a little stand for your e-reader that connects to anything. I've connected it to my cart, and that is an automatic page turner that comes with a little remote. So you can literally turn pages with a click of a button, and it just turns them for you. This is the laziest thing that I have ever bought, but I love it, and it also means that I don't have to take my hands out from blankets and stuff. I can just keep them under there. All right, let's move on to bracelets. This is overflowing again. It is absolutely spilling over. So I need to completely sort through this entire thing again. So if you don't know, this is a little container that I have in which I just store string that I am using currently or have used recently. So for alpha bracelets, for example, I need to have quick access to any of the strings that I'm using because I might need to replace them at any point. So I like to put them here. And then also, even if I'm making normal bracelets and stuff, I put the strings that I've started here to then wind them onto bobbins later and put them in my regular containers. So I need to do that. I need to do that. And then I also need to take out all of the random bracelets and stuff that are just here. I have some unfinished bracelets here as well that I need to get done. So let's sort through this. All done. I separated out the strings that I still can just keep in the papers because they're not too messed up. And then I wound the rest of them on bobbins. There's actually a little bit less than I thought there would be. It looked really overwhelming But this didn't actually take me too long, so I'm very happy that this is done. And then finally, there's a bunch of friendship bracelets that I really want to start. I'm not going to start them in this video, but I will show you the ones that I do want to start, and I'll probably leave that for the next vlog. This one has been on my to-do list for a really long time. I think I'm actually going to go with pretty much the same color variation that is in here. It's a very kind of standard braid pattern. I've done a million of these before, but I always do enjoy them, and I haven't done one in a while, so I feel like it's time to do another one. Pattern numbers are going to be up here as well, so I'm not going to be leaving these linked. You can just search them up by the pattern number on Bracelet Book. I'm considering doing this one. This one is kind of lower on my list than the other ones, but I do want to make this one if I can. I'm probably going to cut the strings for it if I find good colors that I want to use. This one is one that I want to make as well. This is a very sort of basic one again. I've made similar ones to this a billion times already, but it's always fun. I always like it if I find it a really nice color combination. Although I actually kind of like the one that is here, then I'm definitely going to be making it. Next up, we've got this one. I feel like this one is a really good one to use a multicolored string for. Kind of simple. There's only sort of two elements to it. We've got this sort of shape and then the cross. Only really two repeating elements, so it's quite, you know, repetitive, but with a nice color changing string, I feel like could work really well. And I have some color changing strings that I haven't ever used. I'm going to try them here. This one has a bunch of variations as well. That's pattern number up there. This one, I don't love this specific color combination that is here, but I feel like the pattern has a lot of potential. Again, I might use color changing string for this one, might not. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Either way, I don't think I'm gonna go with this specific color combination. Maybe I'll look at some of the variations or just pick out my own. So there's that. I also want to make this one. There's a pattern number up there. This one is kind of reminiscent of the sunburst pattern a little bit, but a little bit more complex. It's just bigger as well. I actually really like this specific color combination, but I don't think I have enough shades of blue to do this. So I'm gonna have a look and figure that out later. Moving on to alphas, I've got this one, and this one. There's the pattern number up there. This is the pattern. These are all sort of summery slash spring-ish bracelets. I'm already looking forward to summer and spring. I'm already sort of casually thinking about maybe patterns I could do for Not With Me's or patterns that I could do tutorials for. I find that if I plan this out sort of in advance, at least roughly, then I have a better chance of actually getting it done in time for spring and summer. So I'm already thinking about that. I might film a Not With Me for this one. I've actually wanted to do this specific pattern for so long, so I feel like this one is going to be my priority in terms of alphas for sure. So yeah, I'm going to leave this off here. Probably going to start the next vlog with actually making these bracelets, so that should be fun. I don't know when that's going to come out, but I'm going to start filming it pretty quickly from when I'm filming this. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Got lots of cool stuff coming up. As I said, I'm also planning a bunch of stuff for the spring and summer. Let me know if there's anything specific you want to see, because I am currently in the process of sort of pre-planning, so I'm open to ideas if you have any. Also, I'm open to ideas on my Discord server at all times. There is a specific channel for ideas and questions if you want to do them. The link to my server is in the description. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, and especially thank you to my patrons who support the work that I do on this channel. Thank you so much. If you also want to become a patron and support the work that I do here, the link to that is in the description. I also wrote a book, if you didn't know. It's called The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets. It's available anywhere you typically buy books, and it's available worldwide. There's a direct link to purchase it in the description if you want to use that. It is a photo tutorial book specifically for beginners that kind of takes you from the very basics to more complex stuff. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!